Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope everybody had a great day. I had a long day, but a blessed day. Celebrating 16 months today. I'm super excited. Proud of myself. Pat myself on the back. I don't usually do that, but I'm proud of myself. I should say we have 16 months today. Super blessed. Hope everybody, like I said, had a great day. I wanted to jump on here real quick before I hit an online speaker meeting and talk about the fellowship, their daily saying, I should say. They talked about winners, and what winners are in recovery, and my little spin on what winners is and what the daily reading meant to me was, when I first came into the 12-step program that I work, I wanted what, I seen, I wanted what they had. I walked into the rooms and people were smiling and laughing, hugging one another, driving nice cars. It was really odd to me. Like I just couldn't understand why these people were so happy, why they had smiles on their face, because I was miserable and I didn't know what the hell was going on. I wanted what they had. And, they kept telling me to keep coming back, stick with the winners, and I started to realize the more I kept coming back that I had to change those people, places, and things. I had to start working a program to the best of my ability. I had to show up, not only for myself, but I had to start showing up for other people, to learn to put a smile on my face and laugh and cry and show emotion and just be honest about how I felt. I just worked the program to the best of my ability and I kept coming back. I started living in the solution and not the mess, and it was really hard for me to do because I was so used to the chaos and the mess. I had to change my thought process from a negative one to a positive one and start working in the solution rather than the mess day in and day out, and it's taken a long time to change that thought process. It definitely didn't happen overnight. It's definitely a work in progress, but I kept the positive mindset through it all, that attitude of gratitude, which is super important for me personally in my recovery. They say, a grateful addict won't ever pick up. And it's so true. There's so many things to be grateful for day in and day out. It's amazing. I could talk about gratitude for hours because I'm super grateful that I'm not where I was 16 months ago. That's for damn sure. I just keep participating. I keep giving back. I keep helping the newcomer. It's the most important person, period. I do what I can do. I reach out. I try to be of service. I continue to use my network. I continue to use my sponsor, whether you have a mentor, somebody in your network, your tight niche network in your recovery toolbox. Use them. Share honestly. Let them know how you're feeling and where you're at and what's going on with you. It's super important not to get stuck up here, because I know when I get stuck up here, I'm in trouble. Almost 10 times out of 10, I break out into handcuffs and I get myself in trouble. So I just try to stay vigilant in my recovery to the best of my ability, day in and day out, whether I want to or not. Tonight I was struggling. I'm not feeling good. I haven't felt good the last few days. And honestly, I wanted to take a break tonight, but here I am, because I know I need to be here. When I don't want to do something necessarily, that's when I usually need to do it, and get out of my head and participate in my recovery, and reach out and try to help other people. Just have trust and faith in something greater than myself and just trust the process. And ever since I've been able to realize that and come to terms with it and just surrender, my life and things have gotten so much better. I just let him guide me. I put in the work daily like I used to chase my dope. My life today is amazing. It's simply amazing. Things have just changed for the better, and it happens day in and day out. Just combined with this butt naked honesty and letting people know where I'm at and what's going on with me, it just simplifies things. You know, they say it's a complicated program or a simple program for complicated people. I get that screwed up all the time. I don't know why. Probably 20 plus years of drug use has fried my brain. Go figure. Who would have ever thought? But yeah, you know, I just keep trying to practice the principles in all my affairs day in and day out, you know, and when I make a mistake, I admit them. You know, I just try to be a better person and I keep pushing forward, you know, and no matter what, I just don't pick up. There's nothing out there that using is ever going to make any better. So I just don't do it. It's not even in my thought process today, which is an amazing thing. It's a huge transformation for this addict. I don't know about you, but it is for me because that was my go-to because it was comfortable and it was the easy way out. And that's what I always did. I always took the easy way out and I poor me'd myself to death and I beat myself up for decades. And I just realized today that it's just not the way to live. You know, I surrendered. I don't want to go back to that. Oh man, I just do not want to go back. I'm sitting here thinking about it in my head and I could continue to talk about this for hours. I love you guys. I appreciate everyone. I'm glad everyone's in here participating. I'm going to hop on a speaker meeting on Zoom. If you guys haven't checked out the Serenity Cafe, if you haven't heard of it, check them out on Zoom. I believe they've got a speaker now. Matter of fact, it's 10 o'clock Eastern. And speakers from over in New Zealand, I think, if I remember correctly. I made the flyer and I can't even remember. I love you guys. Thanks for participating. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I hope everybody has a good night.